Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first international legal conference dedicated to fighting the assault on Israel's legitimacy and countering the anti-Semitic hate campaign known as BDS. Thank you to our partners in organizing this important conference. Efi Naveh, Chair of the Israel Bar Association, he deserves it, and Ifah Segal, President of the International Legal Forum. I'd like to also welcome my friend, opposition leader, member of Knesset, Yitzhak Herzog, and Attorney General Dr. Avichai Mandelblit. The fight against BDS unites all of us, Likud and Labor, left and right. Before I begin my remarks, I must say something about today's terrible terror attack. Today, Itamar Ben-Gal was cruelly murdered by a young Palestinian terrorist full of hate and incitement. Now the headlines are saying that maybe it was an Israeli citizen, but his father was Israeli and his mother was a Palestinian. But dear friends, think of his 4 young children, of Itamar Ben-Gal, 4 young children, who will now grow up without a father. Think of his young wife, who now will raise them alone. This terrorist now qualifies for a monthly salary. From who? From Abu Mazen. Abu Mazen has insisted that these payments will not stop. This is not the act of a partner for peace. And as long as Abu Mazen rewards terror, the blood of the men, women, and children murdered by terrorists is on his hands as well. These salaries are made possible by the funds sent to the PA by Western governments. Taxpayers in Europe and the United States are paying the salaries of Palestinian terrorists. This must stop. All countries must condition their payments to the Palestinian Authority on the end of PA payments to terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all here tonight because of one simple ideal, the ideal of justice. Justice for the State of Israel, justice for the Jewish people, and justice for all those who care about democracy, equal rights, and the fight against anti-Semitism. Justice, justice shall you pursue, so that you shall live and inherit the land which God is giving you. These are the words of Moses, our great lawgiver. We must pursue justice both at home by building a just society and abroad by fighting those who wish to deny our legal and historical rights. I want to address 2 issues tonight. The first is countering the anti-Semitic BDS movement, which seeks to drive Israelis and Palestinians apart, delegitimize Israel, and put up barriers between the 2 sides. The second is the incitement spread by the Palestinian Authority and Abu Mazen, which drives terror, as we see in today's, demonizes Israel, and feeds a culture of hate. Now I want to ask all of you to close your eyes and think for a second about the young men and women, police officers, border police, and soldiers who are standing guard tonight over the old city of Jerusalem. Think about them, outside in the cold, standing high on top of the stone walls, walking through the narrow alleyways, listening to the sounds of the prayer from the synagogues, mosques, and churches, standing guard while we sit here. There are those who think that our very presence in the old city of Jerusalem is illegal. There are those who think that these men and women should be tried as war criminals, and that all of us, Israelis and Israel's supporters alike, should be boycotted, sanctioned, and silenced. That we deserve nothing but discrimination and contempt. We are here tonight to say enough. We are here tonight to rise up and declare that we're fighting back, that we're moving from defense to offense, that we'll defend justice and pursue those who advance an ideology of hate, anti-Semitism, and discrimination. That just as those young men and women outside tonight and are defending the capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem, so too we will do everything in our power to defend them in the courts of law and the courts of public opinion in capitals around the world. Let's be clear. The Boycott Israel campaign is not interested in human rights or humanitarian law. They couldn't care less about the real human rights violations happening in Iran, Syria, or many other places in the Middle East and around the world. What they are interested in is wiping Israel off the map. They refuse to recognize the legitimacy of a Jewish state anywhere in the Middle East in any borders. Israel's enemies know that we cannot be defeated through conventional warfare, thanks God. So they're using the new tools of the 21st century to advance their old goals. They're using social media to bully artists who want to perform in Israel and to threaten companies that want to do business here. They're turning international institutions meant to advance universal human rights into tools for delegitimizing the words only Jewish state, and they're using a courts of law to try to prevent the IDF from fighting terrorists who show total disregard for any law and attack Israeli children while hiding behind Lebanese and Palestinian children. I want to emphasize this shouldn't be only an Israeli concern. It shouldn't be only a Jewish concern. Anyone who cares about academic freedom should be outraged when BDS activists silence speakers. Anyone who cares about the ideals of corporate social responsibility should be infuriated when BDS distorts CSR to attack Israeli companies. And anyone who cares about human rights should use all means to stop the hijacking of the Human Rights Council by anti-Israel forces. Now, friends, are you ready for some good news? Thank you. The good news is that more and more leaders around the world are realizing the truth about the delegitimization campaign. They're realizing that the BDS campaign is anti-Semitic, that it does nothing to assist the Palestinians or advance peace, and that its rhetoric about human rights is a mask to hide its true nature. The even better news is that more and more decision makers are turning that realization into concrete action. Counter-BDS legislation has been passed by 24 US states and by Congress. The United Kingdom government has issued regulations against boycotts of Israel. German Chancellor Angela Merkel's party has termed BDS the new anti-Semitism. Courts in France and Spain have struck down boycotts as illegal. Banks in 5 countries across Europe have shut down anti-Israel accounts. More and more countries and even the European Parliament are adopting the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. Of course, you don't need me to tell you that all of these measures didn't happen on their own. They're the result of your hard work, your legal skill, and your deep commitment. And your deep commitment to Israel and the Jewish people. So in the name of the State of Israel, I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And give yourselves a hand. You deserve it. I want to especially thank three serving politicians who are with us tonight. Representative Alan Clemens, he deserves it. Mayor Uwe Becker, the mayor of Frankfurt, and Mayor Gabe Groisman. You have all advanced groundbreaking legislation to combat BDS and anti-Semitism. Let's all give them a hand again. Okay, now are you ready also for the bad news? Consider this a trigger warning. The bad news is that the fight is far from over. The BDS groups haven't given up, and they're being fueled by millions of dollars from European governments and private donors. In order to defeat this challenge, all those who oppose BDS need to take their efforts to the next level, need to up their game. How? Very easy. Look around you. Look to the right, look to the left, look behind you. If someone is falling asleep, nudge them gently. There are lawyers and legal experts here from 24 countries. If you take advantage of the next several days to build a legal network, to move from individual activists and organizations operating in different arenas to a network based on communication, cooperation, and synergy, a network which shares resources and best practices and provides mutual support, then you'll be able to block the BDS campaign, roll it back, and put it on the defensive. As the Israeli government, we, of course, must be very, very careful to respect the boundaries between official bodies and civil society. There are many areas in the legal field where we cannot take an active part, but there are many areas where we can share suggestions, provide insights, and connect dots. And in those areas, we will be there with you. One area in which we can and in which we will lead is in explaining to our friends in Europe why their funding for BDS organizations must end. We have already seen the fruits of this effort, and over the next year, we will greatly increase our efforts and launch a major campaign to convince European governments that their funding to BDS only encourages conflict and distrust, and that these funds should be channeled to projects that bring Israelis and Palestinians closer together rather than driving them apart. Friends, the law in the hands of those who seek justice is a shield against discrimination and hate. But the law in the hands of those who spread hate can be a deadly weapon of destruction. And while the main focus of this conference is BDS, there is one other legal issue that I must bring up at this important opportunity. As I hope that most of you know, the Palestinian Authority currently has a law which mandates payments for terrorists and their families. The more people the terrorist murdered, and the longer his sentence, the higher the monthly salary he gets from Abu Mazen, and I've mentioned it in my beginning. This is a law that teaches Palestinian children that terrorist crimes do pay. These payments are made possible by the payments of Western governments to the PA. Over the past several years, Palestinian terrorists have murdered and wounded not only Israelis, but people from every corner of the globe. Men, women, and children, Jews, Christians, Druze, and Muslims. The police, IDF, and security forces are bravely fighting this terror on the ground every day. All of you, and I mean all of you, can help fight this terror by working to ensure that government funding to the PA is conditioned on the end of PA payments to terrorists. Legislation with similar aims to the Taylor Force Act should be adopted by every country that opposes terror and seeks peace. Taxpayers' money shouldn't pay for terrorist salaries. I know that in many countries such an obvious step might seem like a distant dream. But in a world in which there is a growing awareness of the danger of incitement to terror, it's a step whose time has come. And I believe that with effort and persistence, that which is right and just can become possible as well. So again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your commitment to fighting falsehoods with facts, distortions with reality, lies with the truth. Thank you for your commitment to the pursuit of justice and to the justice of our pursuit of peace and security for Israel. Toda Rabba. Thank you very much.